Good afternoon, everyone. This is Meg at Chasing Retro. I am so excited to finally share with you a series of 6 eclectic journals that I've just completed. 3 of them are reserved, and 3 of them will be available in my shop. I will show the reserved ones first, and so if you'd like to skip ahead to the ones that are not reserved, it would be probably halfway through the video. These are all fabric cover journals made out of recycled cake mix or muffin mix boxes. Because of that, 3 of them are just a 1/4 of an inch taller than the other 3, but they all have the same number of pages and the same, relatively same amount and types of ephemera in each one. Let's start with the first one that is reserved. This one is named Musings in Mahogany, and it is a very 70s colored journal. Lots of oranges, golds, creams, browns, olive greens. I think I said greens, mahoganies. And it is tied with, all of them have a built-in tie. This one is tied with a dyed sort of goldenrod colored sari silk. And all of them are 1.5 inch spine with 2 signatures and 5 3/8 wide. But 3 of them are 7.5 tall and 3 of them are 7 1/4 tall. This is one of the 7.5 tall. All of them have 14 pages in each signature, which means 28 leaflets times 2 signatures. That would be 56 leaflets or 112 back and fronts. We will start with this one. Now, if you'll notice, I did something a little different that I've never done before. One of my viewers, thank you, Stephanie, for this great idea. She suggested that I do some sort of a label on the top, kind of like Just So Dear does on her journals. I use her journals for my Bible journaling, and I love being able to title it what I'd like. And since these are eclectic, I thought that was a wonderful idea. So all of them will have a layer of fabric on the back and then 2 layers of cardstock stitched down as a label to name it whatever you'd like. Again, this one is named Musings in Mahogany. We have a variety of ephemera and cards. There's some handmade things in here. There's some blank business type forms in all of these. I meant to put this in this pocket. This is actually a double pocket here. Here is a little cluster with a 70s telephone and a little daisy with a brad. I made some Franken paper pockets, and they will be on the first page of all of them. Here's some corrugated paper I made into a card. This is from a children's book, and a little tiny coin envelope that I stamped and then put another stamp on a card inside. Here we have a belly band, and tucked in here we have a shaker card, and then we have a shopping list that's embossed. These were great scrap and stash busting journals. So like I said, I tried my best not to do a color theme throughout. You will see some subtle color themes that go with each one, but I really tried hard not to too much. But the ephemera and stuff that's inside is just random and haphazard for the most part. Here is a sheet from an engineering textbook, project planning sheet, a little sewn paper strip, just a little page embellishment there. This is from a Boy Scout book. This is some wallpaper from the 80s. And then on the back, I just put a little piece of graph paper and a sewing pattern lady with a little quote. So this could be a journaling spot. This is some of my acrylic brayered paper. This is a page from a Foster House catalog. I think that's what it's called. And this here is a clipped on Susan Branch stationery envelope. The card is in this journal. And then inside there's just a little floral journaling sheet. And then this is some embossed stamping that my husband and I worked on when I first got my embossing set. And I've been wanting to use it and finally had a chance to. The colors really went with this journal. Oh, there's a little, another little page embellishment from a science book there. Sorry about that. Here's a little memo sheet and some vintage ribbon sewn down. Here is a vintage American Greetings sticker. This beautiful fringy pom-pom, I love it. Here's the card. And then we have a tobacco coupon, and then clipped here we have a vintage playing card. I think it's Old Maid, and then an orange Rolodex card. Here's some of, I think this is my coffee dyed paper. I could be wrong. And then some ribbon that goes with the theme. This is from another children's textbook, and this is some of that vintage wallpaper that I made tags out of this past week. On this side, there's a little cluster here and a little tag with a giraffe stamp on it. This guy, vintage postcard, and a vintage telephone bill receipt from 1978. So it goes right with the 70s theme. On all of them, I just did very simple sort of jumbo seed beads on the ties. I didn't go super crazy with the beads coming out of the tie. This is from a children's book. We have a stamp here. Here is a whale tail. Clipped here, we have a little piece of vinyl shelf liner that's very 70s, and then a recipe that's typed on the back of a card catalog card. I took the scraps after making the tags with the wallpaper. I had these little triangles left over, and I sewed them down to strips, and there's one of these in each journal as well. That was so fun to do. Don't throw away any little bit of vintage wallpaper. Here is a 3D butterfly sticker that's sort of holographic. Here's some vintage trim. I say vintage, it may not be, but it looks vintage. This is a recipe card that is vintage and a stencil letter. And this is from a vintage cookbook. I've just layered it on cardstock and put it on this pocket. This is from a y'all might remember I had a set of sort of curtain panel material, and this is a little square from it with a 70s daisy on it. I have a little tuck spot here with a bridge tally and a vintage math flashcard. Some rickrack down the side here. You might remember this haul. I don't know. I went to a local thrift store about 3 or 4 months ago, and they had this beautiful dyed, almost tie-dyed sort of kit to make leis, and I obviously was not going to make leis with it. I'm using the pieces as journal embellishments, and this is one of the flowers. It almost feels like a coffee filter type material, but I put it on a brad so it could spin. Here's a belly band with some vintage gold gimp trim. Here's just a snippet of some wallpaper border that looked very 70s, and then a collaged card. I received this in Happy Mail. I thought it went well with this journal. Here is one of my patchwork fabric pockets, and tucked in here we just have this little journaling card, a little red-headed boy getting a haircut, and this is from a game. Here's a little corner tuck spot and a fabric tag with this adorable 70s calico. And this is from a children's book. I made it into a journaling card, and this is a parking pass. I thought it should go with the car. This is from another children's book. I think it's a magazine. I think it's Humpty Dumpty magazine. And tucked in here we have a clock flashcard, a little 70s gold note sheet, and someone's handmade flashcards for, looks like a college course. a business course of some kind. This is from the book Sally Goes Around the Sun. No, it's not. This is not. It looks like it. This is from a children's nursery rhyme book that was very 70s and very eclectic. This is from a 70s reader. This little boy is evidently dreaming. Very whimsical. I just did a little cluster here. Handwriting paper. This is from a Humpty Dumpty magazine. A National Geographic map. This is a beautiful vintage thank you card from Hallmark. Punched paper. German music. Here is a little cluster, sewn cluster. Little journaling card. A dry cleaning ticket. I sewed some strips or scraps of little pieces of fabric to the side of this tea-dyed page. This is from a Reader's Digest. I made it into a tuck spot, and we have a little legal pad page and a recipe. This is from a vintage music bill of some sort from a concert that took place in New York. And here's some vellum with some leaf print on it. Clipped here we have a very cool looking vintage 70s book plate. Someone had put a sticker over the name, and then a password game card, and I used my embosser to create a sweater material pattern on this orange cardstock. This is from a Japanese needlepoint magazine. You can see the writing here. Some ribbon glued down to that edge of the engineering paper. Oscar Levant is the pianist. A little fabric tab. Clipped here we have a vintage button card and these ladies who are evidently bridesmaids in someone's wedding. Very 70s. A little mushroom die cut. This is I think this is one of Carrie the Paper Monkey's fabric clusters. I used a lot of hers in these journals. We have some tickets and a coaster in here. 2 tickets. This is a vintage, used to be scratch and sniff sticker from Hallmark. It was a root beer, but it has no smell anymore. Here's a side pocket with a little science book illustration. And tucked in here we have a guest check. This is one of the sturdy ones. I love these. And a little journaling card with the 70s looking vacuum cleaner on it. And some money from a art link letter game. And a little Project Life card. That's it. So that was Musings in Mahogany. Got a string here. The next one is also reserved. This one is named Peachy, Pinky, Purpley Pups. And you can see why. It is mainly orange, peachy orange, but it has some purple. Sewed it together with some purple thread, and I brought in some hot pink as well. And then here's a fun little tassel. All the tassels are removable, by the way. They were on with a bulb pin. Lots of different fibers and textures in here. It's tied with a sewn-in gingham pom-pom ribbon. This one also has 112 back and front pages, and it's 7.5 tall, 5 3/8 wide. And the label on the front is a layer of, this is very 80s like dress material, and then some peach and orange cardstock. Here is a little coin envelope that's stamped, and then another stamp inside. A Project Life card and a game card. And this is also a double pocket. Here's a Franken paper pocket, and I did a little cluster with some brads. This is some of the vintage wallpaper made into a tag, and this is the shaker card. Here we have a stenciled letter and a page from a Humpty Dumpty magazine. Another little strip of folded paper sewn down. A cactus sticker. This is the Japanese embroidery book. More of my brayered paper. This is a letter that I found in an antique store, and it was written between two I think they were Navy buddies, two Navy buddies in the early 1950s. I thought it was super cool. I've been holding on to it long enough. It was time to share it. So I left it unembellished so whoever got this journal could read it. And then I have some really fun ombre pom-pom trim on the edge. A little embellishment out of a science book. There's some greenback stamps. Another children's reader page. This is a little card. I think it's called Hearts. The game is called Hearts. And this is a lighting cell. I have a lot of these. I don't know why. I think my husband got them at work and then shared them with me. So I'm trying to put a few in journals every now and then. Vintage wide rickrack on some engineering paper. A little pup. Some washi tape. We have a little card, like a teacher's card. A little piece of a wallpaper border with a palm tree on it. And then a guest check. Here's a vintage greeting card. Is that not the cutest thing? And then I put some ribbon on the back. This is some Kool-Aid dyed paper. And then we have the little beads on the strings here. This is from, I believe, a Barbie book. A little whale tail tab. A stamp with a telephone. Alexander Graham Bell. And here's a cluster with fabric and paper. And then tucked in here we have a music flashcard. And a vintage receipt for a camera bought in 1978. And a Swedish tea ring recipe. A little fabric tab that's made out of fabric with oranges on it. Here we have a little vintage 80s heart tag and a playing card. A little flower glue down here. Here's another one of those tie-dyed flowers. The rest of the letter. He just signed his capital initial in the front. Clipped here we have a very old button card and this super fun magazine image that I put onto a piece of cardstock for a journaling spot. This is a vintage Hallmark sticker. Here's a fabric pocket. It's sort of a brocade feeling material. And then we have a vintage photograph. I have no idea what this family is doing, but I'm sure there's a story behind it. And then a little phonics or vowel card. This is from a children's magazine, and I've made it into a little up-tuck pocket. This is a little notepad sheet and a sponge cake recipe. I love sponge cake. I love angel food cake too, but sponge cakes just seem so much more old-fashioned to me. Here's some orange gimp trim And then I have this little journaling card with flamingos and an embossed piece of cardstock with some daisies. This is from a 1940s popular mechanics magazine. It was how to build this table. And then someone's handmade flashcards again in a beautiful cursive. And then this is Rainbow Bridge in Utah and While You're Out. German song sheet. Here's another one of those wallpaper cut-off triangle strips. I need to name those. And a dry cleaning ticket, a Bible verse card, a little random journaling card, and a little label, mushroom embossed label, and some felt daisies on the bag. A textbook page, and I think it's electrical engineering. Vintage wallpaper, and another science book image, and I made a little up-tuck pocket for a note sheet and a vintage fabric, calico fabric tag. Sewing book page, a dyed page, and then here's a sewing pattern lady, and I put a little fun quote. These quotes are random and somewhat hysterical, I think. This is from a Foster House catalog. I cannot remember the name of it. National Geographic map, a pink journaling page. This is a little butterfly stamp. This is a page from a Boy Scout book, a patchwork fabric tag, and here, pocket, we have Florence Nightingale. We have a little mushroom journaling page, and we have a fold-out apple recipe card. The center spread is just a beautiful scrapbook paper with a lot of pinks and oranges in it. This is from a children's book, and then tucked in here we have a handwritten recipe for orange cranberry relish salad. And this is Betsy Clark Hallmark card. It's Valentine's, but I thought it was timeless. I just think she's precious, and it doesn't have to be for Valentine's. Vintage trim. Some vintage fabric sewn down. Clipped here we have a little journaling card and a hot pink doily. A gingham fabric tab. This is a Paper Monkey fabric cluster, and we have a couple of tickets and a coaster. Here's a cluster that I made with paper and fabric. Piece of vellum. This is I cannot remember what they're called. Patacalope, something like that. It's like an envelope pocket combo. And I've just tucked in this little tag that says Kodak. And also behind it, I put a Yahtzee score sheet and a 70s craft library card. So this was Peachy, Pinky, Purpley Pups. Next we have Sweet Land of Liberty. I've got little pieces of thread and stuff on here. This one is also reserved. This one is sort of a loose Americana theme. It still has a very 70s feel to it though. Lots of fun colors and textures in the tassel. Tied with a red and white ribbon. 3-layer label here. Inside, I guess we should put this one in the lower pocket. This is just a little bulletin board shape. This is some vintage wallpaper with some apple fabric on the top, and this is from a children's book. Here's a pocket with a fabric rosette and a little green fabric leaf behind it. Here's one of my Franken paper tags. And this is a vintage Denison label for packages. Tucked in this little band, we have a little strawberry note sheet, and I'm not sure what this is, but it's like some sort of a journaling card. Here's another textbook page, vellum, wallpaper, and there's some washi up here because this pocket was not wanting to adhere very well to this wallpaper sheet, so I reinforced it with some washi. And tucked in here, we have a wallpaper border piece and a vintage dictionary page. Clipped here, we have a little coupon for a rose catalog, a journaling card, and some polka dot embossed white paper. Boy Scout book page. Some fun vintage trim, really fun vintage pom-pom in a royal blue. A little cutout from a magazine. German book page. Another catalog page, handwriting page with a top value stamp. I almost said True Value. And a coffee ad of some sort. This is one of Carrie's fabric clusters. And in here we have a journaling card that looks like a bingo card and 2 tickets. Clipped here we have a vintage thank you enclosure card. In here we have, this is from a Humpty Dumpty magazine. This is an insurance card. This is just a little red tag you can decorate on your own, and a little note sheet that looks like school. And a little cluster here. And we have Family Circus tucked in here, a little journaling card, and a folded sheet of some of that vintage border with the apples. Oh, let me show you the beads. A little flower on this bag, and then there's a coaster in here. Here's a little fabric tab. Vintage fabric sewn down. Another one of those fun flowers. I love this one. It looks like mermaid colors almost. A vintage American stamp from probably the early 70s, maybe earlier from the price. Here's a folded strip of paper sewn down. A belly band with a shaker card with an alphabet, and then a winter jacket needlecraft card. Clipped here, we have a Humpty Dumpty book page made into an envelope, and inside there's just a sheet of paper for journaling. Tucked into here, we have a Bellagio poker card, I guess, and another catalog page. This one is from a New England store that has sort of vintage Americana items. Here's a navy blue fabric page, and then here we have a bulletin board stencil, a recipe handwritten for Florence's cookies, and then a little mini notebook with lots of writing space. Here's a patchwork pocket, and tucked into here we have a check stub, a little journaling card, and an envelope with a stamp. Here's a belly band with a little journaling page and a fold-out recipe card. A map page. This one folds out. Here's some dyed green paper with a fabric tab. reader page, notebook page with a sticker, some punched paper. Here's a whale tail. This is from a book from Austria, so it's in German. Some braided paper. Gotta have Snoopy in the Americana book. Here's one of the little strips with the cutoffs from the wallpaper. An anniversary card from the 50s. Sewing page. We have a little journaling card. Oh, maybe not. It's a picture on both sides. And an American playing card and a little cutout. It's like an all-American family right there. They've got their red, white, and blue on. Maybe they're planning a 4th of July cookout. This is from the Japanese embroidery book again. So I thought this was an interesting page, and it was very red, so it went in this journal. Here's just a little poppy sewn down or glued down. Little paper cluster. A little sticker of a rose. Here we have a name label and a thank you for the baby gift vintage card with some red ribbon to the side of the page. Fold out map. And then last page has this beautiful glittered flower. This is from a greeting card. And then this is a vintage postcard that this is not good. I guess they weren't happy with the way the picture turned out. I took this out of a very old scrapbook. So, and then here is a address book page. So that one was named A Sweet Land of Liberty. Who else is thinking about the version of that song with Neil Diamond right now? I am. Okay, the last 3 are not reserved, and they are available. If you would like to reserve one, you can email me. My email address is below, and I can list it for you reserved under your name in my Etsy shop. That's usually how I'll do that. If I don't hear anything from anyone wanting to reserve one of these, I will list them all 3 of these in my shop tomorrow night, Wednesday at 8 o'clock Eastern time. So unless I hear from someone about reserving, I will do that. You're always welcome to just write me and ask if they are still available, because I know time passes and people reach out and they don't know that they're not reserved yet. So you're welcome to do that at any point. This one, I tried to be a little cheeky with the name of this one. It's Under the Sea Looking, so I'm calling this one Under the Seemingly Possible. And this was probably one of the most fun tassels to make. I had this raffia ribbon and it looked like a fishing net. And then I have this chunky 70s yarn and lots of fun colors and patterns in this ribbon. And I don't think this fabric is as old as it looks. It looks 60s, but I got it with a big pack of fabric that was from the 80s. I'm guessing it's 80s. I told my husband it looks like something that we would have asked our moms to make jams out of in 1989. Do y'all know what jams are? Okay, so I love it. I would have totally gone for this fabric as a kid. I did a layered tag here with some red, yellow, and pink. Here is a shaker card with lots of fun colors and hearts. And then a coin envelope with a stamp on the outside and inside. Here's a Franken pocket and a little fabric flower. Fabric tag. This is fabric from the 60s, actually. I love it so much. And some embossed cardstock. It looks like cross stitch. And this is a sort of a home decor Rolodex type card. Here's a belly band with a parking tag. And this is from the front of a Humpty Dumpty magazine. This is from a tour guide brochure from Austria. This is a bag with I actually made this cluster myself. This is a fabric cluster that I made, and a couple of journaling cards inside. Beautiful purple dyed paper with the little triangle wallpaper strip. A Richard Scarry image. Here's a textbook page. Clipped on this side, we have a coaster and a picture of a little girl swinging on a branch. It's like some kids got a hold of their mom's camera for the day. Purple pom-pom trim. Little purple flower with the metallic brad. And some washi. Here's the Japanese embroidery book. Here is some vellum. This is some wallpaper that is bumpy. I guess you can see the texture. It's really cool. And it's kind of shimmery as well. It's got coffee all over it. Well, not real coffee, but the names of coffees. This is a tuck spot from a science book. Here is a recipe card for sour cream coffee cake by Helen Parks. And a note sheet that says big ideas. I love this note paper. I kind of use it sparingly. And this is some vintage purple trim. This is a book page with a catapult from a Boy Scout book. Look at the little seed beads. I tried to coordinate with the colors of the book. This is an invitation card that's super groovy. And this is from a Humpty Dumpty magazine. Over here we have, I'm not sure what this is. I'm assuming this is someone's sort of ancestry file that they were running. I'm not sure. It's just really cool. I had some ephemera that I was trying to use up. And then Franken tag and a vintage flashcard. And this is one of Carrie's clusters. I love this one. And a whale tail. This lady is frying up a batch of donuts. I would like to be standing right there. Here is a vintage wallpaper strip, and you guys, I've been holding on to these forever. I've put some of them in some of these journals, little finger puppet cards. They make me laugh out loud. I think he's supposed to be a troll, because it was the story about the billy goats, Gruff, and then also 3 little bears. The 3 bears, Goldilocks and the 3 bears. It was like 2 stories in one box. Little teeny tiny vintage Hallmark sticker. Fabric tab, a vintage stamp from Romania. A little felt flower. A paper cluster. And then in here we have 2 tickets and a little bulletin board shape. This is some very old Monopoly money. This is a brayer tag that I made and a craft card from the 70s craft library. And this is from a children's textbook. Side tuck, we have a stencil number, a little journaling card, and a guest check. And here's the fabric pocket. I think it's a dark purple. It's gorgeous though. And a little, it's got some fuzzies on it. A little yellow tag and a vintage charge receipt, or a loan receipt rather. This is the most adorable little tuck spot ever. I love it. It's from Humpty Dumpty magazine. Here's a little mini notebook page. And then, oh my goodness, y'all, this, I've been holding on to this too. This is a vintage postcard from a scrapbook that I got. Evidently, this little girl was feeding the pets of this little girl while she was at the beach. Little strip there. German book page or music page. Really fun giant journaling card. Here is a tuck spot with a, because it's a book with fish on it, I put a fishing page in here. I found this at a thrift store in Florida, so it's authentic Atlanta coastal fishing owned, previously fisherman owned. This is a really interesting picture of a little boy playing with a stuffed seal. It's from a knitting book. A catalog page, Braillard paper. The random quotes. That is probably the most fun that I have, is picking those out to go with pictures. And then here is a soft drink label and a vintage playing card. A vintage greeting card. Top value stamp. Here's some daisy trim. Some fabric sewn down. Washi tape. This is from a children's reader. Put it as the center of the signature. A spinny flower that's been dyed. Here's some more ribbon. Clipped here we have a dry cleaning tag, "You are the best," and an orange Rolodex card. You cannot say that these are short on color. It is like a rainbow for the eyes to flip through these. Vintage trim. In hindsight, I would not have put it on a white page because it's really hard to tell those are daisies, but here is a patchwork pocket, and then we have a recipe card and this little journaling card, and then this is a glassine envelope, and inside I've just tucked a piece of leopard print cardstock. Vintage ad for plants. This is a fabric tag that is, the name escapes me, batik, the batik fabric. This is the vintage wallpaper made into a tag, and a library pocket, and then a couple of sheets of pink ledger paper. So again, this one is named Under the Seemingly Impossible. I'm sorry, Seemingly Possible. Y'all, if y'all didn't know that I was a nerd, it is obvious now. All right, next is this beauty. This might be my favorite in the bunch. It looks like 1983, does it not? Okay, so do y'all remember the clothing companies from the early 80s? Do you remember United Colors of Benetton or Benetton? That's what I think of when I see this. So I named this one United Colors of Right a Ton. I'm sorry, it's just so cheesy. I cannot help it. United Colors of Right a Ton. This one also has really fun textures in the tassel, and 3 layers here, fabric and 2 cardstocks, and a red ribbon to tie closed. A little double pocket here. We have a parking tag, an insurance card, a coin envelope that's stamped, and another stamped image inside. Franken pocket with a crocheted flower. We have 2 tags here, a plain yellow one, a wallpaper tag, and an Old Maid card. A belly band, and we have a casserole. I put it under the word 8 because it made sense. This is a program for some sort of a GA program from church from the 50s, if you know what GAs are. This is from a children's reader, handwriting page, another reader image, some yellow pom-poms, Japanese embroidery book, Braillard paper, vellum. Super fun. I finally opened this pack of party invites, y'all, because it matched this journal. Very 80s. A fabric pocket with a sheet, like a notepad sheet, and a 1/4 roll wrapper. Cluster. This is 80s if I ever saw it. It's like a little gift enclosure or maybe a florist card, and then some polka dot embossed paper. A little image there. This is one of Carrie's clusters. Love that one. The same colors in this trim. Oh, we're at 45 minutes. I need to hurry. The map is the center of this signature. You can see the beads. The little triangle sewn down. A sticker. Tuck spot with a Project Life card and a book page, or a Humpty Dumpty magazine page. Some gingham ribbon. Fabric tab. A tuck spot with a vintage Mott's Juice ad. A stencil letter. A receipt from 1981. A vintage stamp from Rwanda. A little journaling card, and looks like somebody is making a float for a parade. Thought that was fun. And I put a little glittery heart here. And then tucked into here we have an Uno card, because when I think of 80s I think about Uno, and this is a little bulletin board image, I believe. Patchwork pocket. This is one of my handmade wallpaper cards that's very 80s. And this is 80s if I ever saw it. This is a Yamaha Keyboard World ad from Michigan Avenue, Wayne, Michigan. Here's a belly band. We have a shaker card with some gold, and then a wallpaper border from 1986. A tuck spot here with a seed company stationery page and a guest check. Blue chip stamp, a little fun tuck spot, and I put a Maryland postcard in here. Brick rack. This is a recipe note card. Little bird I glued there. Here's some crepe paper ruffle. We have the coaster and the 2 tickets, just like in the others. Here's a recipe card that's typed for macaroni and cheese on the back of a card catalog card, and a vintage playing card with the Dalmatian. This is just a little envelope with a lemon on it, with a little card inside, and a craft card. Fabric sewn down, paper strip here. This is, I'm not going to pull this out. This is a Student of the Week certificate. It looks very 80s or 90s. This is a flashcard from the 80s, and this is a piece of a sort of vacation diary from the early 80s. Someone had gone to Hawaii and wrote down what they did every day. Here's a cluster with some fabric and paper. Here's a little journaling sheet and another one of the finger puppet cards. Fabric tab, spinny flower. I'll put some hearts on this band, a yellow doily. This is a sort of a pen and ink greeting card. It's very thin. Oh, here's a sewing pattern girl. And in here we have a thank you card and a Long John Silver's playing card, because I also think about Long John Silver's when I think about the 80s. A little sandcastle, a metallic whale tail, blueberries sticker. And this is one of those little cool folded pockets, little journaling cards. And this is from a children's book. So this was United Colors of Write-A-Ton. Oh my goodness. Last one. This one is named The Glass is Always Greener on the Other Side. And I named it that because it looks like stained glass, but it's also green. the glass is always greener on the other side. So this tassel actually has some shamrock ribbon in it, but it's not a St. Patrick's Day journal. It could be if you wanted it to be, but it's just an eclectic journal. And then 3 layers here, some aqua satin ribbon to tie. Little journaling card. Another stamped coin envelope with a card inside. This is made out of a pretty recent greeting card that I received. And then a recipe card. This is just a mail-in coupon for Daisy. I don't know what Daisy is. Daisy. It might be a catalog. And I put hello here. I'm going to put a tag in here. I meant to put one more tag in here and I forgot. This is a belly band with some trim. And then an insurance card and a textbook journaling card. This is a very old brochure from some sort of Rotary Club. I think from the 1920s. Yeah, 1924. And this is from a story of Mary Poppins. I just love this image of the maids peeking out of the kitchen. And then the triangles on the strip and ledger page, a little label here. This beautiful image here from a childcraft book. Here's a 3D leaf sticker, journaling card, and a thank you card. Blue dyed paper and aqua dark teal pom-poms. Here is some vellum, printed vellum, a vintage button card, and a Bible verse card on a German book page. A little daisy with a brad. We have a limeade label and a topiary marjolaine bastion, I think. This is some wallpaper border, sort of a Greek key pattern, and some mint fabric pocket. This is some of the wallpaper that I have, and a vintage 80s flashcard. It's actually a game card, not a flashcard. Some braided paper, Japanese embroidery paper. Here are the beads for this one. Oops. Looks like a little cat here. Spinny flower. Belly band with a casino card and some embossed cardstock. A little greenback stamp. Some brocade trim with ladybugs. A hearts playing card and a Holly Hobby looking birthday card. Here's a fabric cluster. We have a dry cleaning ticket rather, and a coaster. Vintage fabric tab. Love this trim. I don't know what it's called. And a little image from Humpty Dumpty. This is a library pocket made out of a recipe book, and I glued a Campbell's soup can, a lime green card, and another one of the finger puppet cards. This is Granny. This is really tight, so I'm not going to pull it out. This is more of that wallpaper with the calico apples, and then a book page made into a giant tag. Here's a shaker card with some beautiful gold and red beads and an insurance card. A tuck spot here with a recipe written on green, cream cheese frosting, a puzzle piece journaling card, and a greenback stamp book page. A 3D butterfly sticker, a vintage greeting card, a project life card, and this lovely girl with, oh, I don't know what that is. I guess this was sent to me in Happy Mail, so maybe somebody bought this individually at a shop. This is from a science book. I put a little quote. Fabric sewn down. The wallpaper strip. A corner tuck with Humpty Dumpty page and some art link letter money. A guest check and a beautiful layered tag that somebody made for me. I've had that forever. A little cluster here with some fabric and paper. Fabric tag, a craft card, and a teacher's card. A vintage playing card and a vintage mailing label. Looks like it was put out by the Postal Service. Some hot pink ribbon. I just got this trim at my craft reuse store this week. It's sort of an aqua color. A children's book image with another quote. I got these stickers recently from Happy Mail. A vintage French stamp. And last but not least, a corner tuck with a label and a little quote from Carrie Snow, and a stencil and a vellum page with leaves. So this one was The Glass is Always Greener on the Other Side. If the last three look like something that you would like to reserve, let me know. Otherwise, they will go in my shop Wednesday night. I hope you guys have a lovely day. Thank you for sticking with me. This was a super long one. I appreciate it so much. Let me know which one was your favorite and why. I'm just curious. Have a great one. Bye.